Cool. Hey, what's
Hi,
going on,
King.
good people? What's going on, good people? It's your girl T Hardaway,
It is Michael Bashil.
and we are the Did It for the Hood podcast.
Indeed.
Welcome back, welcome back. Today we have another wonderful guest. This woman has transitioned from teaching, going into her first love and gift, which is cosmetology. But she's doing much more than just beauty. It's a lifestyle. It's a brand. It's everything, and I'm super proud of her in the direction that she's going. So, without further ado, y'all welcome Lynda Davenport. Lynn,
Hello. Silent applause.
you like that intro?
Yes, girl, honey, you said some stuff. I said, oh, me? She talking about me. Thank
I
you, girl.
am.
Appreciate it.
Good, good. All right now. So we're not gonna waste no time. So Linda, tell us your story.
All right. Well, I am married. I'll be 14. I hope I'm getting this right, honey. Don't judge me, judge yourself. 14 years this December. I am a mother of three. I have a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I am currently a full-time entrepreneur with my own business. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the freedom that comes with where I am in life right now. It's been an interesting journey to get here. It wasn't what I initially started out. I went to school and I started in business with a concentration in human resources. And I quickly learned that sitting behind a desk was just not my cup of tea. I got into human resources, oddly enough, when I worked in retail. We had some like big wigs come through the retail store that I worked for, and the human resources person kind of like explained to me what their job was, and I took it as customer service for the employees. So in all the jobs that I had worked at that time, I always enjoyed the employees, the people that I worked with. So I thought, oh, to do something where I get to serve the people that I enjoy working with would be ideal. And so that's what I pursued in college. I did human resources. I came out, did that in corporate America, and for a nonprofit, which I thought would be, a little bit more calm as opposed to corporate be so rigid. It's the same. It's the same. Um, the politics of corporate is still the same, even though it's nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
And I quickly learned that and was like, this is not my cup of tea. So I moved from the corporate world to the operational end of nonprofit to the program part of nonprofit. And that was different for me. So that was like, okay, now I see the purpose of this organization. Now I see the heart of this organization. I see why the work is being, what we're doing. So I enjoyed that. I was working with children, middle school and high school. So I loved that. I eventually met my husband there. And through that, I transitioned because we were both working at the same building in these programs, and we had positions that weren't lateral. It was a conflict of interest. I knew our relationship would be a conflict of interest.
Mm.
And so we made the decision as we were getting more serious about our relationship that I would leave and he would stay because it was more accommodating for his school schedule at the time. And in pursuing employment, I didn't find anything. But at that time, I had started my lock journey. And the stylist that I was with, I was just talking. You sit in the chair, and when you sit in the hairdresser's chair, you just get to talking, and it's a very comfortable environment, right? So I shared that with her that I'm looking for work. This is my relationship, yada yada yada. And I was like, you know what? How can I get, like, I didn't say how can I was just like, if you wanted to do just natural hair, what does that look like? And she was like, well, if you do this, you do that, you get this licensing, da 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 da, that's what you have to do. And then she said, if that's something that you want to pursue, I have a chair here for you. And I was like,
All right.
ma'am, how do you know that I don't make people bald? Why would you just give me a chair? But backstory is I found out that when I was in college, I went natural, 2005. At that time that I went natural, it was not popular. So there weren't many resources. There was very little education about it. There was one website that I used to go to all the time to get content, and that was it. And I had to kind of self-teach myself. I was self-taught. And then in my pursuing it and doing it for myself, other people would be like, well, could you do that hairstyle on me? And could you do that on me? And so I had a little small circle of people that I did in college. Fast forward, when I was in the stylist chair, she knew the person who referred me to her was one of the girls whose head I did in college. So
Okay.
she had already shown her some of my work from college, unbeknownst to me. So when she offered me the chair, she was familiar with some of the work that I could do. And so at that time, my husband and I, we were fiance. Our relationship's getting serious. So I went ahead and got my license. A month later, we got married. A month after that, I quit my full-time job and I worked in the salon setting full-time. That was quite a transition for me. But I loved it because I get to meet so many different people. Every day is something different. The dialogue, the trust that people put in you to, be in their heads is huge. So I really enjoyed that. So I started out as a braider and a natural hair care specialist. Quickly learned I don't like braids like that. I can do it, but it's just not my tea. And then I got into locks and I was like, this is it. I love this. And I quickly was like, I do natural hairstyles, but you want me to do your locks? Yes, come, And I really just kind of fell into that and really loved doing locks. Then, of course, life be lifing. And so I had my first child. I stayed home with her for about 2 years. And then I went back into the salon setting, worked a little bit more. And then life be lifing. I had a second child. And it was at that point that I realized, you know what, I'm not going to be able to have the consistency with work and still parent the way I want to and daycare and all of that. And I don't want to not give my clients what they deserve in terms of my care and service. So I left the industry and went into education. And so that made it more accommodating for my kids who are then going to be in school. And so we can have, comparable schedules. So I did that, went from subbing, tried it out to see where my fit would be best, middle school, elementary, high school. I didn't think it would be elementary, but that's where I really enjoyed the most. So I did elementary, pursued teaching with my license for teaching and started teaching full time. And I absolutely loved it. Now, don't give me the little babies. I don't do kindergarten, first grader. It's enough for me. Yeah, it's a special ministry. The
I'm
Lord didn't
dead.
anoint that on my shoulders. He didn't give me that.
Not a
He
special
gave me
ministry.
my small kids, not your small kids. Okay. So I taught third grade, fifth grade, a little bit of second, and I really enjoyed, especially those fifth graders. Baby, I feel you right there. And so I taught for a number of years, had a child, had my son, and I would still kind of do hair on the side, but it was very like part-time here and there and word of mouth. It wasn't my small little circle. These little people come to me, don't tell nobody I'm doing your hair. You just come over here and I'm gonna slide you a retwist real quick. And each time I would have people sit in my chair and they would just be pouring into me like, you need to be doing this for yourself. You need to be, I ain't gonna say no name. She might be in the room right now, but anywho, you need to be doing this for yourself. You need to be doing this for yourself. And I just be like, but I don't know, because in the capacity that I worked before, although it was full time, it was as a commission stylist under someone else's brand, under someone else's leadership. I didn't really have the sense of individuality for myself. I just sort of flowed with what the brand represented. So I didn't have the freedom to move like I would have wanted to. Although it was great tutelage, it is where I got started and it's how I am. It was the foundation for where I am now, but it wasn't me. It was just me under someone else. And so people would sit in my chair and constantly pour like, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing this. And I would, kind of shy away, but like, yeah, sound good, but I don't know. So at the end of 2020, after so many people telling me this, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, a little afraid, a little, like, I don't know if this is possible, but I'm going to do it. And I think the New Year's Day, I put a post out and was like, my last client in the chair, I think was New Year's Eve. And he was like, you better put it up. And I'm gonna do a quick promo. And I was like, okay. And so I just sort of clipped his stuff. And then I did a quick intro about myself, kind of like how we're talking now. And I posted it and shut the computer and went to bed because I said, I can't see what's gonna happen. And that was the beginning. And it's just been a slow and progressive, but like a wonderful journey, highs and lows, but a wonderful journey. So officially 2001 is when I started my brand, my company. And then 6 months later, I quit teaching full time to pursue entrepreneurship
You mean
full time.
2021?
I'm sorry, 2021 is when I started
Mhm.
my brand.
Mm-hmm.
6 months later, in 2021, I quit from teaching full time because remember, I was kind of still doing hair
Right.
on the side and started working for myself full time. So I've been full time entrepreneur for about a year and some months, almost a year and a half now.
Okay. So you pretty much okay. You told us the whole thing. I appreciate it. You made our job
It's
super easy.
yes, you understand? I was in there. Don't
I
ask me
appreciate.
no questions you don't know no answers to.
All right, now we all in the pocket. We got you. Okay, so now you're in the entrepreneurship journey. You left education. How has the entrepreneurship journey been for you so far?
It's been the most freeing experience. Like
Mhm.
it was what I was most afraid of because I remember when I first started working in the industry, I thought, ooh, when I saw people doing it, I thought, I don't want to do that. Just give me the job to do over here to the side and don't put me in charge of nothing. But the freedom of being able to control, I've never taken a birthday off for work.
Mm,
I've always worked my birthday. But if I wanted to take off, I'd have to like ask someone, hey, can I get these days off? Last year I was like, I'm taking these days for my birthday, and I did it. Like I have the control to say this is my time, this is how I want to utilize it. If I want to work this day, I do. If I don't want to work this day, I don't. And that's been a freedom I didn't know I wanted and needed. It's allowed me to be more present with my kids. Being an educator, I'm teaching kids all day, and then I get home and my kids want the same attention, helping them with their homework. And I found that I struggled with having the capacity to serve them in that way because I had been doing it all day. And then I'm like, I'm tired. And plus, I'm still doing clients on the side. It freed me up to be able to parent more efficiently and just be more present to them than I had been, if I'm being honest.
okay. Have you had any setbacks so far?
There have been, I will say the progress of my business hasn't been great. There's been some pockets of where I don't take them as setbacks, more so like a learning opportunity. So,
Mm,
okay, that wasn't a good call.
right.
You definitely shot yourself in the foot with that one. But what can we learn from this? All right, this is how we're gonna move next time. We're gonna do this instead of that, or we're going to make sure we make this known in advance so we don't have this issue at the back end. And that's just been from a business mindset. I will say some maybe a setback has been not so much a setback, but I realize I have to be aware just of the mental journey of
Mm,
entrepreneurship. Like
yes.
it can be exhausting, you know what I mean? And it can be hard to sort of separate, all right, now my business hat is on, but I'm with my family. So I have to be present with my family, but also I have to get a social media post out, or also I have to respond to this client. So there's parts of the business that is not just me being behind the chair that doesn't require my physical hands on someone's head, but it requires me to respond to an email or respond to a text or post or da da da. And that sometimes is not during my business hours.
Mm,
So having to sort of separate or try to find a separation of, okay, now we're business, now it's family, you have to put that to the side. I'm still working that out. I'll be honest. I do have my moments where it's like, all right, y'all, shh, quiet to my kids, all
Mhm.
right, and then put it down. So that's been more so, maybe not a setback, but just something that I'm navigating and trying to, be more efficient about.
One thing I realized as I started to like get serious about being an entrepreneur that I didn't realize was the amount of things you have to learn outside of your craft. Like your craft is doing hair, that's your craft. But then when you start talking
Absolutely.
about the marketing piece, you start learning about just a day-to-day operations, management systems. It's just like wow, you're taking on multiple departments as one person.
Yes. Yeah. What I've also learned about that too, and I will easily do it, if there's someone who can do it better, baby,
Delegation,
how much you want? How much you
delegation.
want?
Mm-hmm.
Pay them to do it. Like it just frees up my time to do something else that I may be a little bit more interested in doing. If you do this well, baby, do it. You're gonna take 5 minutes to do it. I'm gonna take 5 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
there's some things I quickly delegate and issue out, and there's other things I'm still like, okay, I haven't relinquished it over. But absolutely, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be the whole company. And then there's skill sets that you may not have. So you're literally having to learn it and say, oh, I got to do it like this. Oh, I got to do it like that. So that piece of it, like you said, it's not involved specifically with the craft, but it is necessary for the successful running of your business.
So I know entrepreneurship has its hills and its valleys. So when you get into those difficult pinches, what motivates you to continue going on? Because you could easily just say, I'm going back to teaching.
That I'm not going to do. I'm going to take that right there.
Okay. I hear that.
Listen, I drop my kids off regularly, and they're like, when you coming back? Huh?
Never.
Wait, huh? Where you coming? I'm a window rolling up. I can't hear you, huh? I don't plan on, I still teach. So while I don't get to teach in the traditional sense, I still teach about hair. And I love that. So the art of teaching will always be within me. And I love doing that. It's just the way in which I teach and who I teach and where I teach is different. So that part won't leave. I don't think I'll ever go back to the traditional form of teaching. But as far as what helps me get through, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Me and the Lord, we be talking. You know what I'm saying? I be talking to him like I talk to y'all. Jesus. Now I know you said this what you wanted me to do, but
you didn't say it was all this.
So definitely having that core foundation. My husband's a great resource, and just having a core group of friends that I can bounce ideas off of. I have a little group chat, and I'll send an idea, and they'll be like, or yeah, girl. So just having a community around me that knows what my vision is, supports it, it allows me to kind of get, okay, you can do this. In those moments where I feel like you can't do this, or I mentally start to beat myself down, I have to sort of recenter with that circle.
Yeah. Keeping yourself centered. Having that tribe is crazy. It's crazy important.
Vital.
Crazy important.
Vital.
I was gonna say when you said that you are still teaching, it made me think about, do you ever sit back and think about the things that you've done in your past and how they're now playing forward into your current career?
Girl, as I said that, I was thinking the same thing, because I remember when I was younger, like two things that's always popped up with that when you hear my name, right? People be like, oh, she funny. Oh, she does well with kids. Like those two things have always popped up. And so teaching was something that came up with that. And every time I heard it, I was like, no. Same kids every day? It's boring. Quickly learned that's not the case. Those kids,
very different.
They will keep you on your toes. So when I got into teaching, I realized it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But I see my personality is what it is, honey. I take this behind the chair, in front of the chair, behind the camera, in front of the camera.
I can vouch for that. I can vouch. She was used to, when I had locks back in the day, she used to be back there acting just like this.
It doesn't change where I am. I'm just in a different setting, but this is me. And that I see different pockets of where, working with kids. When I work with middle school and high school students, I didn't know that it would lead to working with elementary age students, and then learning how to teach. Because teaching, there's one thing to be like, you do well with kids, but it's, as a teacher, you do well with kids. So I have great classroom management, great, but how you teach kids and understanding how people learn and, the style in which they learning that there was different learning styles, you know what I mean? So being in education, formal education, taught me the art of teaching, and, so how we prepare our lesson plans and how we work in a way that will get the engagement of my students, but also instill what it is that I'm trying to impart with the concepts and standards. So that part, now running my business, those pieces I'm able to sort of pick from. When I was in the salon setting, those pieces, picking from that, watching how she handled business. Although at that time, I had no interest in running my own business, I got to see how she handled a disgruntled client. How did she handle when someone did her this way? How did she, I saw those moments, didn't think much of it. I thought, oh, wow, you did that real good, girl. But not understanding that those would be the nuggets that I'd be able to pull from to help me sustain my own business. So absolutely, as I go back over my life, I see all the little things that have helped me probably avoid some pitfalls because I've had the journey that I've had.
You had the preparation.
Absolutely.
I think that's the crazy
Absolutely.
part about the process of the evolution of life. When you sit back and think about it, you'll be doing things and they may not even make sense at the moment you're doing them, but they're the preparation
Yeah,
for the next phase of your life.
absolutely.
And
I
I
tell
think
that to
that's so
my
crazy.
students.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I remember telling that to my students, just even being in the classroom, because sometimes there's a lot of times you'll ask the kid, well, what's your favorite subject? PE? Okay. All right. You like playing. That's great. Well, what don't you like? I don't like math. Okay, well, why you don't like math? And so you kind of go into and a lot of times it's not that they don't like math, how it's been presented to them hasn't been pleasant. And so that is what they stick to, and they think, oh, I hate math altogether. It's not that you hate math, it's just how it was taught to you wasn't the best. And so I have learned to even tell my kids, like, there's some things in life that you will encounter and do that you don't understand, but it's preparation for the next stage. So when we would do math, there was a specific way I had my students prepare their math lesson. So we do a 3-column notes. This is where this goes, this is where this goes, this is where this goes. To them, it was like, man, just give me the problem, let me write it down.
Right.
But this practice of organizing their math was a skill in note taking. It was a skill in organizing. So they're not seeing that this is a skill that I'm teaching you that will better prepare you for the next phase of where you're going. You may not do anything with math, but I remember how to organize my thoughts, or I remember how to take these steps and chunk them down. So there's a lot that I'm going to teach you that you feel like may not be relevant, but it's really the skill set that I want you to take to be able to apply to the next phase.
Very true. Very true. Because I look back over some of this junk and I'm like, why am I doing this? But then you pull little pieces come into play. Like I'm
Yeah,
in the project management phase of life now. Oh
right.
God.
Ooh,
But
come on now. Jesus?
so with all the experiences you've had thus far, I'm sorry, with all the experience you've had this far, you're kind of new in your entrepreneurship journey. What you're about to be 2 years in.
Almost, yeah.
Okay. Would you recommend other people
Ooh.
become entrepreneurs?
Okay, great question. So here's my thought. As a person who worked in education, I think that everyone should learn a trade. I think everyone should learn a trade of some kind. I don't think that you have to necessarily work it all the time, but I think that there should be a general basis of something that you have. Um, it isn't for everyone, but I think the skills that come with this journey can be used anywhere. And if you can endure this journey or endure the just sort of the steps of entrepreneurship, then baby, I don't know what you can't do. Okay, because if you can handle that, all of Jesus, you prepare for anything.
It's true.
So I think that more than anything, I think people need to, rather than drilling people, you need to be this, you need to be this, you need to be that. I think we need to hone in on what they're saying, whether it's in their behavior, whether it's in what they're actually saying. Like, I like PE. Okay. All right. Well, what about PE do you like? And then take that and develop that, as opposed to force feeding this idea that you have to do this and be that. Because I think what you'll find that more people will find what their purpose is sooner than later. Because I don't know how many 30, 40, 50 people, 50-year-old people that I know that are just now
Finding a
getting to
thing.
a place of like, whoo, okay, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. But because we're so like conditioned to be like, this is the track that you have to take,
Yep.
this is what it looks like, right? And then you take this journey and you realize, I don't like sitting behind a desk. I don't like, wearing a suit every day. I don't like, dealing with people. Whatever your thing is, it takes a journey of you eventually getting there. So I think learning a trade prepares you. The academic piece is great, but a trade gives you like real life in the trenches type thing. It just kind of brings it down to just the core things that are important, because academia is very much important, especially now. If you're trying to be a doctor, a lawyer, all that, baby, go to school, do the police, go to the people's institution. But I think that there are things that life will teach you more so than maybe you'll find in the book. So trades are important for that.
Agreed. Agreed. So, what does a normal day for you look like?
Ooh, child, depend what day it is.
Mhm.
Uh, so my schedule is, in terms of behind the chair, is Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay,
Um, I am working on this part of it. So Sundays should be like family,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
It is where I try to turn my phone off, um, and I focus on doing stuff with my kids. So we get up in the morning. Usually my husband makes breakfast or gets breakfast for us. And then he does ministry. So he's busy with that. And then I just get time with the kids. And we just chill. A lot of times I just be in mermaid position on the couch. Don't judge me, judge yourself. And then we just have a good time fellowshipping. Oh, y'all visualize the mermaid position right
I
there.
literally
Um,
just
The
saw
little
it.
you saw
fin.
that. See, exactly. Very comfortably. I wanted you to get that visual.
It
You
was definitely.
understand?
You
You're
got it. We got
comfortable.
it. We got it.
Thank you. So that's what my Sundays. They're very chill, very lax. Mondays is when I try to handle business. So those pieces that we talked about that aren't behind the chair, that's when I try to handle that. But a work day for me is I get up in the morning about 7ish. I get my kids ready. I take them to school. And then I come back. I prep for my clients. I work for the day. And then I usually my schedule is I'm done working by the time my kids are out of school. That's been freedom from me. So by
Wow.
3, I'm done with my day. I do have 2 nights that I accommodate evenings for my clients that work late. But other than that, by 3 on any day, I'm usually done. And then I have time to be present for homework, questions about their day. I get to be more of what was difficult for me to do when I worked full time
Hmm.
in the school system. So that's typical. And then if they're in bed, 8, the youngest one, uh, his bedtime is 8 too, but I guess he got a different schedule than me. About 9 sometimes he be tussling. The Lord is still working that out. That 4-year old. Whew, whew,
Oh,
whew.
So I mean,
That's where I knew I was done right there.
and
That
when
4-year
with
old.
the little 4-year-old,
Yes.
it just happened to
He
be the
just
little boy. He closed the chapter.
okay.
I appreciate him. Thank you, sir. You did your work. Ooh,
I said, okay, so you have a lot of you have more free time, more flexibility, more time with your family.
yes.
Um, but as we know, everything that is good is not necessarily free. So, what are the
Mm.
sacrifices that also come with that?
Ah, so there are. I try to be better about this, but there are things sometimes where on Saturdays I work. Although I work till 3, I start at 7:30. So like just this past Saturday, the kids got invited to a birthday party. They couldn't go because I'm working, and then I couldn't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
we sent a little birthday thing, whatnot. But there are those things where my kids is they don't fully understand, the sacrifices that you make, right? So, and even though I make myself available, it still doesn't feel like it's enough. Mommy, you're always working. Baby, I'm working when you in school. How is it?
right.
I'm off when you off. So the sacrifices have been sometimes in time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to compensate for that by, really like completely closing myself off on this particular day or for this particular week so that I can kind of make it up. That would probably be in my relationships, my personal relationships, having to be sort of pulled off. So with my husband, sometimes like I just got one more thing to do and then I'll be free. So that is probably more than anything. It's been time because it's given me freedom of time, but also it's taken time as well. So it's that sort
It's a
of dichotomy
balance.
there. But
Yeah, that
yeah,
balancing act. You mentioned your
yeah,
husband, and I know one of
yes,
the positives about you running a business and having children is the fact that you have help. So that's a blessing.
yes,
And,
yes,
as you know, a lot of people don't.
right.
So what does your support system look like? Not even just your husband, what your business, your personal, like what does your support system look like as a whole?
Uh, it is. It looks like people who I'm surrounded by people who just encourage. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Even if it's something as simple as so right now, when I started my business at the beginning of 2021, although I had been doing hair, I've been doing hair almost now 14, 15, just about as long as I've been married. And I didn't really have work out there. I did the work because I didn't have any thought of like, I'm going to be running a brand soon. So I just did the work. So I had no evidence of the work other than people saying, hey, yeah, she does a good job. So
When you
when I
when
started
you
as a
say you had no evidence, well, you had no pictures. What do you mean?
no pictures, no,
Oh,
just other than I did your hair and you knew about it.
Yes, yeah.
gotcha.
That was it. I didn't have anything. I mean, when I started, I literally had to be like, "Hey, girl, you got a picture when I did your hair that one time? Just send it to me. Just put
Mm-hmm.
that on the socials." To help sort of build. But I found that in sharing what I'm doing, people are watching. There are
Yeah.
people who refer to me that I've never met. I don't know them. I don't, but in being transparent in my journey and what I'm doing and momming and wifing and business, people are seeing that and they're just like, I vibe with that. Boom, support, share. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what
Mm-hmm.
that means. So support is sometimes just the encouragement more than anything. And the encouragement comes in a share, it comes in a like, it comes in a like, I see you. It comes in a I like what you're doing. I'm proud of you. And I'd be like, ooh, you don't realize how important that is. It's simple. It's a very simple gesture, but it's weighted. You know what I mean? It's very heavy. So that's been support for me outside of like, of course, that core tribe group is just people being kind, and sharing and encouraging.
How 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 important has networking been for the growth of your business?
Yeah. So
I
come
feel like
on,
that
man.
was a loaded question, but it wasn't.
Yes. I will say it's been something that I didn't realize was important.
Mm-hmm.
So when I worked in a salon setting, I just was an employee in a sense. I wasn't
Right.
technically an employee, but that's how it kind of operated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I have an awesome friend who's in the same industry as me. We're somewhat similarly aligned, but she has some things she does a little bit different and vice versa. But like we'll get on the phone and bounce ideas off each other. Well, I'm doing this event. I want you to come in and teach this piece in my event. Or while I'm doing this, I want you to come in and do this. Or we're going to be doing this talk. I'd like to have you. So just realizing the community within the industry,
Mm-hmm.
how important that is. It's very easy to see where people are just like, this is me. We're competing against each other
Right.
constantly. But it's not a competition because I'll be honest and I'll tell anybody that sits in my chair, I know at the end of the day, as great as I may be at what I do, I cannot service everybody. You know what I mean? There is enough, you know what I mean, for everyone to have a piece of the pie. So what does it benefit me to try to
Yeah.
hog it all up? Because I'm quick to be like, you want what? Oh, baby, I don't do that. But I know somebody who is awesome
Right.
at that.
Absolutely.
And I want you to go to her. And in turn, I get the same. So networking has been vital in the success of my business as well as the growth, just me personally as a person and just seeing and relationships, building relationships as well.
Absolutely. Because well, we were just having this me and a friend of mine were having this conversation the other day about money being a flow, and saying that you can't try to hold on to every dollar. And by sharing and moving it in flow and getting in alignment with other people that also flow, the money's going to come back to you anyway. But you do
Absolutely.
have to be in alignment with the right people. That is key.
Baby. Okay.
So, uh, being in the beauty industry, what is one misconception that you think people have about your industry, specifically what you do? Because you do quite a few things. I mean, I looked on the gram the other day and I was like, she teaching classes, she out here making stuff. I'm like, when the product's coming out?
Yeah, for real.
Well,
Media.
I got a little razzle dazzle. A little razzle dazzle. I remember you were talking, so
Huh?
I was
Okay now.
I'm looking at them right now.
All
They're
right
right
now.
there. Got a little something. Um, I got a little excited. Ask me the question again.
Ain't no problem. What's one of the common misconceptions you think people have about your industry? Because I know a lot of girls that want to get into doing hair, and it seems like it's almost a fad. But I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think they understand. Like, it's more to it than just putting your hands in people's head. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yes.
So, what's the misconception you think people have about it?
I think the misconception for the industry as a whole is that it's just about doing hair.
Mm.
It is just, if I have a great skill and I know how to braid, boom, that's all I need. Is to know how to braid. Or if I know how to do sew-ins, boom, I do great sew-ins. And that is great. But it is also about client retention,
Mm-hmm.
customer service,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Professionalism. Those are things, those three things right there, I see great stylists and they lack in those areas. And then people get to talking and people get to walking. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be as great as you are, and if your service is trash or your professionalism is trash or just how you do business is trash, it doesn't last long. I use the example all the time of Publix and Walmart. Publix sell Kraft macaroni and cheese. Walmart sell Kraft macaroni and cheese. Same box, same manufacturer, came from the same place. But when I go into Publix, if I don't know what a Kraft macaroni and cheese, excuse me, let me go ahead and put this shelving job that I was doing down. Walk with me, madam, please. Stay close. Let me hold your hand and
Mm-hmm.
take you to the Kraft macaroni and cheese. You go down to Walmart, baby. I don't even know if they know what a Kraft is. I don't know. It ain't. It's a different experience because of the service. And they say shopping is a pleasure, baby. I feel it every time I go. It is a pleasure when I go in there. And so people will pay more at Publix for the same item that they can get at Walmart because the experience that they have is better than the other. And so I think getting into this industry is great. Learn your craft, hone your craft, but also work on it's a people industry. How you interact with people, you have the opportunity to transform how someone feels about themselves
Mm.
and just do with their head.
Yeah.
How they feel in their heart and their minds about themselves, their situation, what's going on in life, but just touching their head. You see what I'm saying? You have an opportunity. It's way more weightier than just putting a sew in, doing a retwist. It's way more weightier than that. And I think people get into this industry because it is lucrative, but they don't understand that aspect of it. And so you have the opportunity to make or break a person in just a matter of an hour or two, and how you present. Like, you get a young child in your chair and you traumatize about, yoking her up with the braid style, and now forever, I hate braids,
Mm-hmm.
and they've had this traumatic experience. And then you get other people who are suffering from alopecia, and you do a braid cover up, and here it is. I never thought I could go out in public with my hair without a hat or a scarf, and I feel empowered to now take on another task of life because of just a hairstyle. So I think if people understood that and pursued outside of honing their skill set, but also working on the professionalism, working on the client experience, as well as retaining those who are being loyal to you. Because we quick to want to be a celebrity stylist, but that comes with a lot. Like, what about the people who got you to being able to get to being a celebrity stylist? Those loyal people, how do you treat them? So I think all those aspects have to be taken into consideration when you're in this industry. It's not just your skill set, it's the experience as well.
And I'm glad that and I'm glad that you mentioned that it's about just people talk in general, because I feel like that's not discounted in any industry. I feel like everybody talk everywhere. So like, I was gonna ask, like, have you ever dealt with a bad client? Because I mean, I be seeing on TikTok, like, girls be like, hey, this is what this person did to my head. I asked for this, but I got this. Have you ever dealt with like any of hiccups?
That's a good question. And this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier about pulling pieces, right? So I'm gonna go back to when I was working in the salon setting, and I had a situation where someone came in. Y'all remember A Living Single, Maxine Shaw, Honey in Law, right? She had these specific braids, right? The little bob, but it was so eclectic. Like, it had little strands here, but it was
and it was cut down in a bob.
It was bad, right?
Yeah.
So this young lady came into the salon, and that's the braid style she wanted, right? It was pop, 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 pop. I always told people I braid well, but I'm not a braider in the sense that if you constantly braid, your speed is maybe that's not my ministry. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm the tortoise. Okay? At all. So she came in with this style, and I gave her not that. Okay? It was beautiful what she got.
Right.
But it wasn't what she wanted. And I took so long on it. She had an event that evening with her sons. It was like a monster truck something. And she was going to miss it because I was still in her head. And I remember she called her sons. Her sons had called. They've been constantly calling her while she was in the chair. And when she had to break to them that she wasn't going to make it, they started crying. And she was crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be my last day on the job. I will never be back. They'll never want me again. So I finished her hair. It was cute. I ain't going to lie. But it was not Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. It was just Max. No
just Max.
It was not. It was just Max. You hear me? It was a Bob, but it wasn't attorney at law. It was like Morgan and Morgan. You know, it was something completely.
I'm dead.
You know, we're happy and we're singing. That's what it was, right?
Oh my God, bro.
It was a Bob, but it was not what she asked for. And gotcha. She was in tears, and I was just still. I'm not done, so I'm trying to fight the tears back. I'm like, this is my last day of the job. Don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, right. The owner of the salon, she came over her, and she came over to the client, and she held her hand, and she said, "I'm so sorry that you didn't get the style that you wanted, and I'm sorry that you're missing this event with your kids." She paid her the money she spent on the tickets for the event. She didn't charge her for the style. Wow. And because I'm a commissioned stylist in the salon, when she left, of course I was in big old tears, ugly tears. You had to be G at the time, but I let them tears go when she closed that door. She came to me, the owner came to me, and she still paid me for the service. Wow. So she lost out big. But what she told me at the end of that, I was like, you still gonna pay me? And I still got a job tomorrow? You want me to come back? She said, how you handle business is vital. Because at the end of the day, that lady walked away not getting what she wanted. Mm-hmm. But what she won't be able to say is that she wasn't handled with care. True. And the situation wasn't made right by her. Mm. We did the best that we could to make it right. I cannot send you I cannot redo this style, right? Because it was a braid style. Yeah. She still had a nice style. It wasn't what she wanted. But she did her best to fix the situation so that at the end of the day, now the lady could still go back and say whatever she wanted. But if she's like a genuinely good person, she know that we did what we could to right the situation as much as possible. So I always refer back to that moment whenever I have a situation where someone may be upset or not happy. It doesn't happen often, I will say, over the board, just because I take so many steps to be like, are you happy with this? Da-da-da-da. You sure? Da-da-da. But it's because of those things of learning and watching how I handle people determines how they then go back and handle me and my business. And so you can share the story, but well, she did try to do that, or she did try to do this. So I think when people choose not to, and I don't want to say like the customer is always right. Don't get me wrong. There are some situations where you just got to be like, you're out of pocket on that one. Right. But you have to be mindful that your name is on this particular experience for that person. Yeah. Right. So I try to handle it as well as possible. Actually, just recently, I did a style on someone. She left. I do like a couple of family members in this household, right? Or this family. And so the sister of the client who left texted me and was like, hey, my sister's crying. She don't really like the style where it is. Da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I asked her, like, what happened? And she's like, can she come back? I was like, sure, absolutely. I had someone else coming, but I had enough time that we can make it work. So for the young lady, she suffers with anxiety. So she doesn't like confrontation. Oh, okay. So even though she didn't like it, she wasn't going to tell me that.
She didn't know how to tell you, yeah.
She didn't know how to say it to me. So it wasn't anything that was aggressive. So she came back and I was like, don't ever feel like you can't say that to me. I want you to be happy with whatever you get when you come out of the chair. And it was something as simple as she wanted the style more forward. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that she didn't like it. It was just a little far back. She wanted it a little bit forward. So she came back. I repositioned it. We double checked. Are you content? You good? You sure that works? Yes. She went on her way. The way my system is set up, when you book, it will send you a link like a day or two after just to follow up, get feedback. Because I want to know, how your experience was. So it will send you an opportunity to give me feedback. It gives you two options. You can give a feedback like, hey, I had a great experience. Or if you feel like there's a learning opportunity for me, you can click that link and it'll give you some things that you can kind of like, okay, I like this, I didn't like that, this, and that, right? So it has both options. I looked up, so this happened on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I think yesterday I saw she left a review. And the thing that she said was she cares about your experience, she cares about your hair. And I was like, wow, I thought it was very simple, like, yeah, sure, I'll fix it. It wasn't a big deal to me. But me being able to handle her the way that I did with that experience for her was a game changer. So now that's the person that's like, I'm definitely gonna come to her, and I want you to go to her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all in how you handle it. There are some, I've heard of situations, I've seen stylists that deal with, very intense situations, but they go live and they go, ham on Jack, da 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 da. And I'm like,
expose it instead of
it's
handling
in
it.
bad taste. It's in
Mhm.
bad taste because now as a viewer, I think that's how you're going to handle me if something goes wrong. And I think that goes back to the piece of you can be a great stylist, but the experience is different and the professionalism is different. So I don't think the issues don't have to be addressed, but that may be something that you handle privately. Hey, in the future, this is how we move with this. Like I had in a situation where so the what I do, I have a salon suite within my home. So you do come to my house to get service. At the time, I didn't have a policy in place, but this one particular guy, I did his hair. I did his daughter's hair. So usually the dad comes, he may drop the daughter off, and then he may stay. This one time she came, the daughter came, the dad came, the wife came, the two kids came. Okay, that
It's all good. We working through it. Go ahead.
right. It's that what? Oh, y'all heard my son.
Yeah, we heard
Um,
it.
and then my child came. But in this situation, the whole family pulled out of the car, and I was like, "It's not what? No, no."
Right.
And so they stayed for the situation. I didn't make a big deal of it, but I went back quickly, changed my policy. So moving forward, this is how I have to handle the situation. Now, for them, it could have been just a specific situation where we all got to come. It is what it is. But I learned from that experience to say, okay, now I need to alter how my business is run so this doesn't happen in the future.
You know what? By you saying that, it leads me into another thought. When you told the story about your former boss and how she handled the client and the professionalism, and then you were talking about adapting. How important do you think it is to have a good mentorship and B being flexible
Mm.
to being an entrepreneur?
I think it's vital.
Mm,
Um, because a mentor is going to help you avoid maybe some of the pitfalls that they experience.
mm-hmm.
Because of how I saw her handle business, I'm sure, I know for a fact it has molded how I know the importance of the customer experience, the client experience, the professionalism that's necessary. Um, it also allows you to, while it's great that I get customer feedback, there are some things they may not share. They
Mm.
they may tell me, they may not, but a mentor may say, okay, listen, I saw you go live yesterday and you spoke to them kind of, such and such and such. They're able to sort of almost like I won't say a parent, but they're just helping guide the journey for you and help you navigate it a little bit more successfully, right? So
Mm.
that you can, oh, you know what, I see this boulder ahead. Let's veer a little bit to the right, or let's veer a little bit to the left. So mentorship is very, very important. That comes with when you're honing your skill as well. Like if you're learning, you're going to see other professionals who usually when you're learning from someone, that's someone typically that's been in the industry for a while, that's been doing it. And so they're going to share their experiences. They're going to share their own personal pitfalls. And hopefully in that, it helps guide you to not take on the same mistakes or errors that they made.
I feel that. I feel that. So you have shared your whole journey with us, and we appreciate it.
You asked. I told
But
you.
no, but let's go forward to present. Well, this all has been present, but I just want to talk about like your aspirations. Like, what do you aspire to do? Where are we taking Lynn Locks?
Girl, that's a good, ooh, that's a weighted question. Um, I'm in prayer about that a lot, right? So I love what I do. I enjoy it and I'm very passionate about it, but I'm also My
It's all
son has a
right.
very specific show he's trying to watch. You
It's
be
all
careful
good.
with it. Call it. Um, this is the technology. He's talking to the remote. Okay,
It's
the
all
remote.
Hey,
it's all good. He got to work it out.
Um,
okay, making a deal.
so I'm in prayer about that a lot. Like, Lord, where do you want this to go? Where do you want me to do? Is it just this? Is there more that builds off of it? And then in alignment with the visions that I have in terms of, how I want to run business, how I want my family to live and to be.
Yeah.
So for me right now, what's key is education. I
Hmm.
love, I've learned that I love teaching, and I could talk about hair all day if you let me. So I want to get more education out there. How that looks, definitely the classes are helpful and whatnot. But just building on that. Also, I want to build in a way that allows other creatives to build their brand. So I've, in this last almost year and a half, I've been able to build a brand, but I know quite a few people who are, just getting in the industry or starting out, and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this with this. I don't know how to do that. So just helping other creatives build their businesses. Like, I don't want to manage people in the sense of like, you come in at this time outside of like, what my core stuff is, but I want to be able to help other people grow their businesses and realize the importance of professionalism, client experience, and client retention, and share that. So I'm constantly in prayer about what that looks like. I think I want to build a building where I could literally like, I feel like it'd be like a house for creatives. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
there are things that I love. I love hair, but I've also learned that I just love working with my hands. So I draw, I do other stuff. I haven't been able to do those things as much as I want to now. But just being a place where people can come and just get that creative piece out. So if it could be hair, it could be photography, it could be art, it could be, I just want to let, because I think for me as a child growing up, like, I've always been comedic, I guess, per se. That's just been my personality. So people are like, oh, you should do stand up. And that could be in there. Who knows? I don't know. But I shouldn't also be like, just because I'm funny, it has to be stand up. It could be
Right.
that, I use that comedic piece, but I use it when I'm behind the chair. That's relieving for people. I use it when I teach. It's relieving. So it doesn't have to look like one thing or one person's idea of how I should use that skill set, but just allowing me to grow and develop in that area. And I want to be able to do that for others as well.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So
Even just the art,
Yeah.
go for it, man.
even just the art, like the art aspect. Like, I'm just thinking, like, get a little art gallery. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In the spot, and then just like have local artists come in and just do stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yes.
just thinking like having people
Listen, that
immerse
is
themselves.
already. Yes, that's exactly. I want to create. My vision would be like to have a house,
Mhm.
right? Because I want it to feel comfortable. I want you to feel like, I can take my hat off, take my jacket
Yeah,
off type
it's
thing,
safe
right?
in
I
here.
want to be able to display art, and have you come in and be like, oh, wow. I want you to be able to make art. You know what I mean? I want you to be able in the art in the form of hair, art in the form of music, art in the form of photography, whatever that is. I want you to be able to come here, and this is a place that you can display it, learn it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I know how, for me as a child, there were so many different things that I was interested in, right? But people will make you feel like you can only do one thing,
Yep.
and just that one thing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
like, you can't, you play an instrument. All right, that's it. You work on that skill set, and that's it. But like, but
Yep.
I play, and then I also like to draw, and then I also like to do hair, and I also like to craft, and I also like to. And why can't we feed all of those things? I used to not want to because I thought people would think that I was flighty and not, you know,
Not steady in one
just
thing.
scatterbrained,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't know what you want to do because you want to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I can, let me,
Right.
like, why do I have to be limited to just one thing? Maybe, today I'm really big on this and tomorrow I'm big on that, but that's not a bad thing. Why does it have to be a bad
Yeah.
thing?
Back in the you've heard the saying jack of all trades, master of none.
It's a longer title.
Right, but people of this generation or the past generation made it seem like it was a negative thing. It actually wasn't. It actually was saying if you're a
Oh,
master of one, you can become obsolete because you only know one thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we just cut it off like, oh, you don't know, you don't master anything. Yeah, it's okay, but if you know enough things, you can delve into your different skill sets when you need to.
And it makes you more well-rounded, which what
Absolutely.
they say they want you to be anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I want to know a
Right.
little bit about art, a little bit about this, a little bit about that, a little bit? Isn't
Exactly.
that what
A whole
makes me,
person.
more
Yes.
overall? So yeah, I've had to like retrain my thinking,
Mm-hmm.
reframe my thinking on some of the ideologies that I've been told growing up. Like, you got to do it this way, and then you do it this way, and it's like, well, this what y'all was talking about? Because this ain't cute. I don't like that.
This ain't it.
And now you have to change that up and be okay. So even as how I let my kids, I raise my kids. I have a little 7-year-old, honey. She's spicy. She's real spicy. Okay. And she has a unique way, honey, that she likes to dress. And my immediate thought would be like, so you gonna put the polka dots with the stripes? And one day I said that. I said, do you think the polka dots go with the stripes like that? And she said, does it have to? I said, let me get my jaw off this ground.
That's
And baby, go
definitely.
ahead, be great.
But they have to.
It doesn't.
Does it have to? No, it does not.
It
I
doesn't.
feel good when I put this on and I feel beautiful. Okay, baby, then you are. Be
And
great.
and the person make the clothes. The clothes don't make the person. Because we've seen some crazy outfits, but the person put it on, you'd be like, you know what? He killing that. I don't even know how
Do
he
you
put that together.
understand? You know, somebody like on Instagram, like, I could never, but baby, you better go.
You know what I'm saying?
He killing it.
Even
Yeah.
designer clothes too. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right.
They limit our
It's all in
creativity.
how you put it
Very much.
together. Why would I stifle that creativity? Why would I stifle what her mind is telling her? How do I know what that develops into? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens, is that they show the signs of these like genius things, but because it doesn't look like the frame that we have, we quickly stifle them and say this, and then now you could have been this and that, and now we've made you're an accountant. And that's okay if that's what you love to do. But you can be an accountant with flair, with style, and maybe you also play music and also do this. Why do you have to just be an accountant?
You know what's so funny about this conversation? Me and Mike have had this conversation so many times because
Yeah.
he's an actor, and I was saying to him, I was like, you know, people are going to try to box you into acting because they're going to say you act. That's what you do. But he's an artist in so many different ways. He makes music. He does all kind of different things, and it's funny that this conversation is coming back around because we've been talking about it. So that's confirmation in
Yeah.
my eyes.
Come on, Mike. Get it to the people. All of you.
I
Not some, not half. I want all of Mike.
preach.
I know that movie now. I do that a lot.
Okay, so outside of career, um, what are your personal passions that are not tied to this? I mean, we kind of talked about it. You're kind of an artist at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Um, so there's so much. I want to learn sign language. I used to play the flute back in 19, don't worry about when it was.
Okay.
I
No
want to
judgment.
pick it up.
No judgment.
I want to pick up an instrument again. I used to draw. I just haven't had the time to sit and do the things that just used to bring me so much peace and just, relax my mind. It would just be, I'd be drawing. I remember being in college. I worked my little work study job, probably less work, more study. But anywho, and I would just be just teetering away at my little drawing. I don't know the last time I picked up my pencils and sketchbook to draw
Mm,
something. So those things, I am just passionate about creativity.
mm.
And so whatever that looks like, I'd like to pick up. I hear all these people, plant moms and plant dads. Maybe I could be like a plant auntie or something like that. I don't know if I could be the mom and dad, because I got to be able to
Were you
hand
gonna
them
baby
back to
somebody
somebody
else's
else.
pet?
I don't know. I tried to put some planters at the front of the house. They look a
It,
little dry right now. So I might try to throw some water on them today, and hopefully they still make it through.
give him a
Y'all
little
check back
love.
on.
Give him a little
Yeah, I
love.
try. But
You
so
got
I so many things I just like to do. I'm passionate about whatever. I don't want to say like whatever, but like if I think about this, so my dad's a truck driver. Well, was a truck driver. I think that's the most fascinating thing. Have you seen truck drivers drive? But the way they hit a curve and not hit a car like that, the way he's able to navigate the tractor and the trailer.
Okay, so
It's
my
just him
dad.
in a car. Oh, get it!
No, see, my father was also, or is a truck driver as well. I don't find anything about that interesting.
What?
Not even a little bit.
Have you sat inside the truck to see the little? This a little. It's
It's a
like
little
this
strange.
high in the truck, and they
Uh-huh.
cranking and moving, shifting.
Yep. Still no. But okay.
Fascinating to me.
But see, that's perspective. That's your
Fascinating.
perspective. And I'm not judging it. I was raised in that truck when I was a kid. My parents used to, their work schedules were awkward. So I used to have to like ride
Uh-huh.
with my father while he did certain jobs and stuff when I was little.
Yes.
I still don't find it interesting. But I
Yeah,
feel
I'm
you
gonna
though.
tell you right now. We probably could have got taken because the
Oh,
way I
of
was in that
course.
truck, I knew it wasn't no seatbelt on that thing.
Oh, not at all.
We was
Not at
on the
all.
float. It wasn't even a chair. Just
We had two. It
full
was two
draw.
different ones. My dad worked in one that was just seats, and then he had one that had the sleeper in the back. So I'd be sleeping in the back while he driving.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I love it.
You
I love
you
all that.
you're a different type of individual, but we love it.
And
We
I
accept
hype it
all of
up.
you.
You hear me?
Excuse me.
Whatever you do, I'ma hype it. You hear me? Girl, you better wear them anklets on your ankle.
You the kind of person
Hey,
everybody needs a hype man. Everybody needs it. You got to.
I
That's the
love
person that
it.
make you feel like you can do anything.
okay.
And why you
You
can't?
can.
And why
Exactly.
can't you?
I
Not in
think
my presence.
I
Not
think
on
I
my
think so.
watch.
I think so many times we run into people. We run into the negative side. Like you run into so many people that are
That's it.
haters and trying to overcome, like shaking off people that don't want you to succeed and blah 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 blah. That when you run into someone that has a upbeat, positive, encouraging type of
Yeah,
energy, it's refreshing. It's like
yeah,
okay, cool,
I can breathe.
yeah,
yeah. Like when I
yeah.
used to
Like
come
I'm
get
gonna get like tarnished for breathing.
yeah. Like when I used
Come
to
on
come
now.
to get my hair done, when I used to come get my hair done, I knew I was always gonna get a laugh. It didn't matter how I was feeling. I was gonna come out there with a fly hairdo, and I was gonna get a good laugh. And that is exactly who you are. Exactly who you are, and I
Yes.
love it. Um, with all of these different things, the art, the hair, and the branding, everything. How do you manage this being a wife and a mom at the same time?
So this idea of balance, I don't think is like realistic, right?
Hmm.
I am not always here as a wife and also here as a parent and like sometimes I might be here as my business and then down here as a wife.
Mm,
It's more so management than it is balance because I
Hmm.
think the idea of balance makes you feel like you have to be everything on the same playing field. And that can be overwhelming and it can be a bit unrealistic. So
Hmm.
I think for me, it's an idea of managing these different areas. Um, so there are days where I do well, where I'm like, my business, bow, bow, bow. As a mom, you know, she probably get a 72. She got a 72 today.
she passed.
So she passed, but barely. POP hold it down. Um,
I heard that in so
I
long.
try to
Oh my
I
god.
can't help. Um so I really try to manage. I try to be self-aware
Right.
to realize, okay, in this moment, like my son is asking for my attention. Can I really just put the phone down for a second or does it need for me to tell him to hold for a second? So I try to put those different things in managing how I do those things, but to say that I balance them, that'd be a lie, child. I'd be dropping them. I don't know if I balance them well. I manage them. That's what I do.
I feel that. I feel that. Well, you've shared your whole life with us, and we appreciate it. So, let me ask you this: if you were talking to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self, and is there anything you would have done differently?
She was a cute little girl. I thought back to I'm visual. I went back to my younger. You said
Right.
younger self. I went back to her.
We're not inviting you back no more. Go ahead.
What?
You can't come back.
Why would you
You,
do
T.
that?
she can't come back.
T.
You know this all jokes. It's all jokes.
Uh,
But go ahead.
um, man, I would tell her who you are is just enough,
Mm,
right? Like I think I minimized a lot of myself for the sake of other people.
mm,
Um, So I would tell myself that entertain it all, honey. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself.
Mm.
That's what I would say. Don't limit yourself. There are a lot of experiences that I didn't do because I thought, well, I don't know anybody else that did it, so I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, I operated out of fear.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean don't be cautious, but I operated out of fear of the just unknown. So I've never seen her do it or anybody else do it. I ain't gonna get on that horse. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm not gonna take that trip, or I'm not gonna go here and do that because I've never seen anyone else do it. Do those things. Go on the trips. Have those experiences. Yeah, I would say just be okay with trusting yourself. I question myself a lot because of the combative thoughts, the outside thoughts, combating with the outside thoughts and what myself was feeling. I just let the outside thoughts win. So just trusting myself.
Yeah.
And it's okay to trust. Trust was big for me growing up. I realize now as I'm saying this to you, I didn't trust other people, but I think more than anything, I didn't trust myself.
That's real. That's real.
My epiphany. Okay, y'all better be deep, Barbara Walters. I wasn't ready.
Get out of here. We ain't Barbara Walters. We just two people trying to pour back into the universe, though.
They needed that though, for real, man.
They did. That's real. But you know what? Because one of the reasons I started this podcast was because of just what you said. You haven't seen someone do certain things, or you don't have the conversations or discussions, and people aren't around you having these conversations. So a lot of times you do limit yourself because I haven't seen someone go in this industry. I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't really know where to begin. So these conversations are super uber important. And even if people want to be stylists, you were talking about being a stylist, but you were talking about being a businesswoman and being a having a spirit of service, being a customer service, being in customer service, focusing on your clients, putting into and pouring into your craft. People don't talk about it like that. They just talk about making money. So this is super valuable, super valuable. Lynn, thank you so much for giving me your time. Give everybody, tell them your business name, give them your socials.
Okay, I am Instagram, I am Lynn Locks, website Lynn Locks, Facebook Lynn Locks, everywhere Lynn Locks. You should be able to find me. Oh, thank you. I'm smart. Yes. Lynn, LYNLOCS. Okay, LYNLOCS.
Lynn Locks on everything,
And I've opened up. So in talking about not being like restricted to this mindset of things, so I do hair, right? But I also host events and do stuff. So I've had that piece that I've done. But it's like feeling like, well, you can't do that and do this. Well, why I can't? So I'll be out here, I do your hair, and I show up there. You know what I'm saying?
So if we want to book you for an event, what do we need to do?
Same. Lynn Locks is on there. You can do it there.
Word. Well, again, it's gonna be. I'm T Hardaway,
and I'm Michael Bashil.
And that has been the Did It for the Hood podcast, y'all. Make sure y'all join us every Tuesday on all platforms. And we now start posting on Wednesday. It'll be on YouTube, the video. So y'all be easy.